y'all, this is Arminthia with Gun Gals, and we want to thank y'all for joining us tonight for another great episode of Gun Gals Live. Tonight's topic's going to be Don't Be a Victim. We've got an awesome show lined up, but first we want to introduce our panel. So, our Gun Gals tonight, we've got Liz.
Hey, how's it going?
And we've got Stacy with us also.
Hello, how is everybody doing?
We're doing good. And of course, me, Arminthia. And Jessie is not with us tonight. They are packing, and I know that she's been pretty tired. So we're definitely missing her tonight, but we're going to send some love her way. So shout outs to her. So, thank you, ladies, for being a part of tonight's show. For those of you that don't know, we do have a Facebook group, and we'd love for y'all to join us. We also welcome comments and questions. Your husband's already starting early, Stacy. I might have to quit reading the chat.
I know. I just seen that.
I'm trying to drop links as I go too. So, where am I at here? I've already lost my spot.
If you have questions or comments or show ideas, send them to us.
There you go. We'd love to hear from you. Send us an email at info@gun-gals.com, or you can find us on our Gun Gals on Facebook. We've got 2 different pages. We've got one specifically for the ladies. We'd love to have you ladies join us. And we've got a public page. For those of you that don't know, we'd love to have y'all join us there too. So,
hey, y'all. This is Arminthia's first night hosting, and she is doing fantastic.
No, I'm really not, but y'all bear with me. So.
You are. So everyone give a shout out to Arminthia for being awesome and hosting tonight. Loves, girl.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah. Before we get on to tonight's topic, though, we also want to make sure that we send a huge shout out to our awesome Patreon supporters. Ghost Tactical, Clover Tack, Angry Haycutter, TD3 Media. Our newest member, Tina is Liberty Cat, joined us this week. And we've had 2 of our Patreon supporters actually move up. That's the Real Gun Snob and Georgia Trucker moved up to our level 2. For those of you that didn't know, this month we added levels as part of our Patreon. So if you are part of our Patreon, be sure and go check those out.
Woohoo.
For sure. Big shout out, though. Thank you so much for supporting us. All right. As most of y'all know, October is National Safety Awareness Month. So during this month, we've been talking about safety awareness. Last week, we discussed non-lethal forms of defense. And before we move on, we want to make sure that we point out that we also are streaming on gun channels. And then after our show, we also make sure to post these over on Gunstreamer as well. So be sure and check us out there too. So, all right. So getting back on topic. Let's see. Diving right in. When you hear "don't be a victim," what comes to mind? Let's run that through the panel.
For me,
yeah, there you go.
Here, I'll just jump in. For me, it's just it's really just watching your surroundings. I mean, I live out in the country, so I usually don't do as much as I should out in the country, and stuff. But so I usually out in public or going shopping or somewhere. Just, being aware of your surroundings, keeping track of everything, not paying more attention to your phone, not just watch everything around you pretty much.
Very good. Very good. What about you, Liz?
Pretty much the same. Excuse my rough voice tonight, y'all. Still getting over that cold. But yeah, it's pretty much the same. But I do think, there's a few things that living in the city or close to the big city and living in the city for a while kind of, there's a few things that I'm more keen to look for, I guess. I don't know how to put that wording right. When I think don't be a victim, I'm thinking what things can I change about me that are going to make me not be a target. And I guess that's kind of what my top thought is, trying not to be a target.
Mm-hmm.
And then also kind of on the back end of that, knowing how to respond so that you don't become a victim if you do become a target. That's also an important part of that. But yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I like those. So, well, we're just going to go ahead and just jump in then. So the first one is, of course, we're going to say, be aware of your surroundings, like Stacy said. We know, most of y'all know, I mean, we get busy, we get caught up in our lives. Liz has got a little one and Stacy's got 4. They're not little, but so, life gets busy and we get caught up in what's going on around us sometimes. And then we forget, we're in our own little world per se, and we forget about things that are going on around us. So we tend to lose focus on things that we should be taking mental note of and saying, hey, something's not right here. So, I know me, because I'm like, I've not actually lived in the city, but I live in the country, but all of this is family pretty much through here, that me, myself, I kind of take a mental note, when I'm driving home or driving to work, if something looks a little different, you're thinking, that's unusual for them to park that there, or that's not where that was, or, if it's something that's kind of noticeable, I tend to text somebody or call somebody and say, hey, what's going on? Did y'all do this? Did y'all move this? If it's something that really bothers me. So, do y'all do stuff like that?
Definitely. Sorry. Yeah, I definitely really try to pay attention to what things normally are like and kind of get a feel for the places I normally go, and kind of changing up my routine, but at the same time being aware of what the routine is to notice those things. Another part of kind of paying attention to my surroundings is the people around you as well. It's really important. And Mr. F and H in the chat actually mentioned eye contact, which is a huge part of this one. And I'm going to be the first to admit I am terrible at that. I am so bad with making eye contact with strangers. Naturally, I know it doesn't seem like I should be, but naturally I I naturally just shy away or don't look towards people. And that actually will make you a target. But when you're looking at people and you make eye contact with them, they know that you're aware, they know that you see them. And it's also kind of just a nice thing, to let people know that you see them, smile and make eye contact. I'm super bad at it though. That's something I work on.
I like that you brought those things up, because those are things when I was reading through this, I was like, oh my goodness, that is, it talks about when you walk with confidence. Somebody who walks standing up tall and, strollers up, and they look ahead, and they don't have a problem looking at somebody, like you said, making eye contact. Is going to be less likely targeted than somebody that's kind of frumped over and head down and,
Right.
not willing to kind of look at somebody. That's that person that they're going to target more than someone else. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Which is funny because I don't know about y'all, but for me, naturally, I'm fairly introverted. And so when I'm going to the store, especially if it's just me or just me and the little one, I feel safer naturally, kind of tending to be more inward and sticking just to us. And I'm constantly just talking to him, or naturally just want to like, if it's just me, I'll be on my phone, or I'm like trying to like stay withheld or within, if that makes sense. But that's so very bad, so bad. Even though I feel like naturally it just feels safer to do that for me. And I don't know if that's just like a personality twerk or whatever. But that is so bad. That's totally what people look for when they're looking for a target, an easy target to steal money or various other things. Just anything, when criminals are out looking for an easy target, that's one of the things they do look for, like you mentioned.
It's funny though, you talk about being an introvert and stuff. I find it funny though, because when you host these shows, you do it with such confidence and you do such a wonderful job. Aww. And me, I'm sitting over here feeling like I'm really struggling tonight. And
which is funny because in real life, if you guys have met us,
we're just the opposite.
The opposite.
Because in real life, I'm that person. I will stare you down, and I don't have a problem saying anything to just about anybody.
Oh yeah. So. But you are doing a fabulous job tonight.
But that's funny. I mean, that's just funny that you said that. That was just really... Anyway.
I know, right? Like, no one's going to believe us. None of these guys will believe us at all.
What about you, Stacy?
What was the question?
I don't remember what was the question.
Damn it. we were talking about staring people down, like looking at people. And I mean, have you noticed an issue with that? And walking with confidence or anything?
No.
Have you had an issue?
I pretty much. I don't know if it's with confidence. I mean, I don't have. I guess it's with confidence. I'm not really worried about anything. And I don't really have a problem, making eye contact, looking people in the eyes or anything. I mean, but according to everybody around me, I'm mean anyway, so that's probably why.
I don't believe that at all.
Well, I mean, if you believe my husband, I mean, he's in there saying he's a victim of domestic violence. I
think he was talking about his first marriage.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. Of course, he did time me out of a chat the other day, so...
Okay, we're going to leave that alone then. Okay. I just turned it off.
Hang on. Hang on one second.
Oh, okay. Well, she steps away for just a second. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next one. This is one, and I know that all of us have had this issue. It's a really good idea for us to get off of our phone. If you're out in public and stuff, while these days most of us are with our phones, we're glued to it. It's like life can't go on if you don't have your phone on. So, I mean, I know I can be guilty of it too. So, while we're glued to our phone, you're not noticing. I mean, it distracts you from your surroundings. It distracts you from the people that are around you. It distracts you from the changes that are going on. So, I know Liz has got a good take on this because I've heard her make numerous comments about her phone and trying to be able to put it away.
Oh, I'm terrible. Well, and it kind of goes back to my like natural introvert thing. Especially if I'm out by myself, which rarely ever happens anymore anyway. But when it does, I'm very much, it's not even to like check Facebook. It's just having something. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like, I don't even care what I'm looking at, but just looking at it, like if you're sitting on a bus or something, or you're a Walmart checkout, and like, I don't know if maybe it's just a way of avoiding really awkward confrontations or whatever. But it's so bad. And even with Facebook, I get really bad because I'll get into stuff and getting into taking pictures. And I've spent a lot of time, especially this summer, I've really focused on trying to put the phone away. and live in the moment and actually enjoy the moment. And I try to take a couple pics because I've actually been harassed multiple times by multiple grandparents that I don't take enough pictures. But, they're just going to have to deal sometimes. I try. I've gotten a lot better with kind of living in the moment, but a lot of people get annoyed at that now. But oh well. But it is good. You need to get off your phone because that's another way to be an easy target when they think you're not paying attention. And especially for people like me who are only on it for the sole purpose of avoiding public confrontations with people. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot easier to be on Facebook than to deal with the lady who's in front of you yelling at the cashier. And you're just like, oh my God, I don't know how to handle this. Like, I don't know how to do it. I just don't.
Okay. So when you see me yelling at the Walmart cashier, just turn and look away.
See, with you, I could handle that. I'm talking about the crazy lady who's in the skinny shorts, and she shouldn't have been in those skinny shorts. God bless this woman. But it was just so awkward. And that's just today.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's just easier to be on the phone, but I shouldn't be. So.
Okay. And I'm back, by the way.
Okay. So what is your take on get off the phone?
I'm really not on my phone that much. I mean, every now and then if I'm out and about, I'll be on the phone with my friend Amber. Or usually, my husband, because he'll call me a million times. And stuff. But most times I'm not constantly, if I'm out somewhere, I'm not constantly on my phone. Like my husband, we went to Dallas. He was on his phone from the time we left to the time we got to Dallas and turned around and drove back. I'm not on my phone that much. But there are times I'm on the phone, I'm getting out, walking into the store that I'm probably talking on my phone and not paying that much attention. So it does happen. It's just not very often. I usually tend to not be on my phone that much.
Okay. Well, now on the other side of that, I know I have actually said, I'm somewhere and something doesn't seem right. And I'll call somebody and say, hey, I'm at Walmart. I'm at Walmart. I'm headed out to my car. You don't have to say a word. I just want you to be on the phone with me. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've actually done that. If there's just something about that night that just didn't seem right. And I mean, I'm not going to be talking on my phone. I'm just like, hey, I just need you to be there. Should I scream or something? Should I say something? I just need you to know where I am so you can call somebody.
Right.
So there is a difference there. I'm just pointing that out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, is that, go with your feeling. If you have a feeling, I remember whenever my husband used to work out of town and, I remember, my bedroom's right next to where we park at. And I remember thinking, oh, God, it sounds like there's my car door is being opened and shut, and I'm like, oh, I'm just, freaking myself out. And stuff. Well, then I go out the next morning. It looks like my car door's wide open, and it's been like, you can tell someone has gone through it looking for something. And, so trust your instincts. I mean, I had that bad feeling and, I stayed in the house, but I just put it off as, oh, it's nothing. I'm just imagining it. So usually if you trust your feelings and if you have a bad feeling about something, then you probably ought to listen to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to pick on Stacy just a little bit now. You ready?
Oh, yay.
Because the next one is do not leave your purse unattended, guys. Oh, I meant gals. Sorry.
I don't know where you got that I left my purse ever unattended.
Okay.
Don't forget, I also left my phone unattended. I left it at Walmart.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said, Listen, it seems pretty simple, right? I mean, we're not supposed to leave our phone or our purse unattended, right? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's actually pretty easy to forget it sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I used to have a really bad habit back in my college days. I don't know what on earth possessed me, but I would literally just leave my purse in my car. Like
Mhm.
when I get home from work, I just leave it in the car, and then the next morning it'd be there and ready to go to work and or go to class. And then one day someone broke into my car and stole my purse, and it had my social security card, it had my driver's license, it had my debit card, it had basically everything in it, my car keys, which for some reason they didn't take the car. Maybe it was just that much of a piece of junk. But yeah, that habit stopped real quick.
Nice.
Like, I don't know, looking back on it, what on earth made me think that would be okay. But we
Yeah.
learn.
I usually do bring my purse inside, but we usually leave our keys in the car. And really late this past week and stuff, there's been we've been listening to the scanner and stuff because there was like someone going around stealing people's cars, and the police were looking for them. There was quite a few, and one was like I think they were either found or was just like a mile from our house. So for like quite a few days, we were actually making a purpose of making sure our keys were not left in the car, and we brought them in the house. So it's really a habit we need to get out of doing, leaving them in the car and stuff. Even though we live out, in Timbuktu, but it does happen, and this past week has proved that it's happened, near us, within a mile of us. So,
Well, when I was younger, not that long ago, um, I know when I carried a purse, I have been guilty of actually, I had left mine in a buggy at Walmart too. Luckily, I was able to retrieve mine. But, I mean, now I typically don't carry a purse. I've got my concealed carry purse. And there are times that I carry it and I'm very mindful of it. And I mean, it pretty much like never leaves my shoulder unless I'm in my car. But otherwise, I've got my wallet and my keys. And my wallet typically goes under my arm, and my phone usually goes in my back pocket. So, a couple of tips, lock up your purse. If you're going to go out and you're afraid you're going to forget it, lock it up. Obviously, do not leave it in your in plain sight in your car where others could steal it.
Not a good plan. Yep.
yeah. And see, my purse is a concealed carry, but like next month when I go to the gun show, I'm actually not bringing that purse because it's bigger, and there's going to be a lot of walking being there all day. So I'm just taking one of my little small square ones that I can just have my phone and keys and a few things in. I don't have to worry about my husband. Usually if I have a big purse, he's like, get a drink. Well, that drink goes in my purse. Anything else he buys goes in my purse. And then my purse weighs, 50 pounds. So if I'm going to be somewhere for, a lot of walking or with that, then I don't even take my big purse. I'll just take my little small one and just big enough to hold a couple things.
Well, something to think about too, though, even if you're going to lock your purse up, you kind of need to be mindful of that. I mean, I've got a friend of mine that actually, they were at a soccer game, actually got out of her vehicle, locked her purse in the back of her vehicle. Somebody saw her do it, and while they were at the game, actually broke into her car just to get her purse.
Oh yeah. I was not long ago I went to a MOPS thing, which is like a mama preschoolers get together thingy, and they had a woman from the police department there to kind of talk to us about this kind of stuff. And she said that one of the biggest things happening right now in our area and in the Houston area is there are actually people who are stationing themselves in groups in the parking lots. And their entire purpose is to watch you and to watch what you're doing. Because a lot of people have been stealing guns in our area because of this. When you're going into a place like the mall, there's .07.06 signs, which means you are not allowed to carry or conceal carry inside. So normally a lot of us, if we were carrying, we'd put it in a safe in our car or something like that. Well, a lot of people don't put it in a safe and they just hide it somewhere. They hide it in their glove box, or they hide it under their seat, or even if they do put it in a safe. And there's people who are specifically at those places in those parking lots watching, and they're watching you pull it out and do something and hide something. And that's when they go break into your car. And especially if your door's open, they open that door right up, they pull out that gun, and now they have a gun and you don't. And that's how a lot of guns around here. Once the officer was telling us that a lot of the guns that they are confiscating from, people that they're locking up and stuff are guns that have been stolen in that manner.
Yeah, I believe that. I completely believe that.
Guns, money, all of that kind of stuff. When you're in that parking lot, there's people sitting there watching you. Crazy. And it might not be so bad, where y'all are out in the country, but it's like a scary thing to think of here, that even when you're sitting in your car in the parking lot, you're super not safe. Like, people are specifically watching you to target you.
Yeah, that's really, that's bad. Getting back on, I know.
Sorry.
No. Getting back on the whole purse thing, though. We talked about locking it up and don't leave it in plain sight. The other option would be the option that I go for, and just don't carry a purse. However, if you carry your wallet, you still need to be mindful of it and don't leave it sitting where everybody can get it. Make sure you keep it on you. So, the same would still go with that. So, anyway. The next one would be, don't forget to lock the door behind you. When I was reading this one, I was thinking, okay, lock the door behind you. Okay. My husband would flip out if I locked the door behind me because he couldn't get in the house, but okay. But I got to reading on it, and it was more, even with your car, you don't think about it. When you get into your car, lock the car door. And then it dawned on me. I had gotten out of jury duty one day and went to Aldi to get something on the way home. And I kid you not, there was a lady. She basically tried to run me down, trying to get me to stop to give her something. And oh my gosh, you want to talk about kind of freak you out a little bit? That people would kind of run you down in the parking lot wanting you to give them stuff.
Yep.
Lock your doors.
Yes.
Not just your house, but your car. If you're traveling, lock your hotel doors. Even the chains on the hotel doors. When you go in your hotel door, don't just grab that chain lock and slide that thing across, because those things can be manipulated.
And those can easily be broken through.
Exactly. So they're not really good for much. So
Anyway.
So what are y'all's thoughts on that, Dan?
Well, it's important, kind of like you said, immediately do it. Don't wait a few minutes. I'll get in the car without it, and I'll get him in, and I'll be sitting there and maybe looking at my to-do list of where we're going next. And you don't necessarily think about that all the time. To do it immediately, the moment you get in the car. Because there's stuff like that. And in Houston, there's a lot of, what's the word? Peddlers, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word. People basically just constantly coming up to you. They'll, I've even had it happen in Beaumont, in some of the worst parts of town by the interstate. But you'll be in your car in the parking lot, and you won't be sitting there for more than 2 minutes, and someone will be banging on your door and won't leave you alone. It's go the hell away. But it's creepy, but it's something you don't necessarily think of. And not everyone's going to be, they're super at you to try and get something, but some of those people are going to be more violent than others. So it's definitely, do it consistently, immediately.
Because you don't think about it. And a lot of the people, a lot of the homeless and stuff, they're not on medication. They've done drugs. They've done some of everything, and they're just, they're out to get some of, whatever they can get from you sometimes. And I'm not saying that's true for all things, but some of these have been people that have been in jail or whatever. They've got nowhere to go when they get out. I mean, you just don't know what you're walking into. So be safe. Be safe. Lock your doors for sure.
Well, and on the other note, it's kind of funny because I remember as a kid, we'd never lock our front door, like ever. Like, I got home before both of my parents every day after school, but I never even owned a key to the house, ever, because we never locked the door. Granted, we lived in the middle of like nowhere in Nebraska in the panhandle, but still, yeah, we like never, ever, ever locked our doors. And then in Wyoming, we had a pretty bad habit of doing that as well. And then we almost got broke into a couple times at night and we started locking them up. And here we have to because we're really close to the interstate. So we've got to keep it locked up no matter what. And our car's locked up at all times when we get home. Everything in the back. It's just crazy, like the difference just from when like I was a kid and literally the keys to all the cars were in the cars and all the doors are unlocked to now.
I've got a story, but I'm going to wait. What about you, Stacy?
I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Locking your doors.
Oh, yeah.
Cars.
I sat there and listened to a whole conversation and then went to unmute my phone and everything went out my head.
It happens.
Yeah,
it does.
It's getting old. But, like I said, I don't usually lock my house doors, but my car, I don't usually think about it. My husband's one of his work trucks that it automatically locks the second you get 20 miles. But no, I don't think about it. If I'm in a bad area, I'll usually think, get it in my head that I'll lock the doors while I'm driving. Depending on where I'm at in Tulsa, I'll usually think to lock it, or bunch of unsavory characters, or I'll think to lock it, but I don't really think to lock it the second I get in it because I'm usually getting out in a million different times, so I don't think about it as much as I should, but probably should.
My husband makes fun of me because I lock doors all the time. And he will actually get aggravated at me because I may lock the front door. Now, he'll do it from time to time, but just by accident. But me, I mean, I just will purposely lock a door. No big deal. Purposely with my cars. I mean, it can be daylight and I will purposely lock my car door. He's like, is your car locked or not? Because I need to get something out of it. Well, yes. Shouldn't it be? You were talking about being a kid, though. I remember there was this one episode where we had come home from something, and I was one of four. I had fallen asleep in the car, and they told us to get out. And if you know anything about me, when it's bedtime, it's bedtime. And when I'm out, I'm out. I'm a wonderful morning person. I'm not a very good nighttime person. So you leave me alone at night. Well, I fell asleep in the car. They gave me multiple warnings to get out the car. Yeah, I didn't. So they left me asleep in the car.
Oh, no.
In the driveway. This is a real thing.
Funny.
The front door was locked when I finally woke up. I had to go bang on the window for someone to wake up to let me into my house. I was probably 10 or 11.
That's funny.
I mean, that is a real thing that did happen. And I had forgotten about that until you said something. But yes, yeah. Anyway. Yes. Anyway. Okay. So, into our next one. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to draw attention. If somebody's kind of getting into your space, into your bubble, if you think somebody's trying to approach you and they shouldn't be, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to get loud. Don't be afraid to tell them to stop. Don't be afraid to draw attention to yourself. You might get a little embarrassed and, it might be a misunderstanding. I mean, their car may be next to yours or something, but, if you're concerned about it, don't be afraid to say something. Don't sit over there and be like, oh, should I say something? Oh, oh goodness.
I am so bad at this one. I'm not even gonna lie. So bad at this one. I'm the kind of person, like, people like bump into me extremely rudely and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like out of habit, just out of I don't even know. I'm I'm really bad at this one. This is where I need you in my life, Arminthia. I need your influence.
Because I'm a little confrontational.
But I need that sometimes because I'm really bad at this. And there have been a few instances when I've been out or without in. Now, when it comes to my kid, I'm much more likely to say something. But when it's just me, I'm super not.
I like the way you said. I like the way you said much more likely.
Right?
There's no much more likely. There's a is my husband going to try to stand in front of me or something?
Oh my gosh. Sorry, my laugh sounds super retarded right now, but that was funny as hell. Oh my gosh. It's true. It's so true though. And I'm so bad at it. There have been instances. I'm trying to think of the most recent one. There was this lady who like was cutting in line. I can't remember where we were. She was completely cutting in line and I was like, at first I thought she was just bumping into us. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she's like, yeah." I was like, "What the hell?" Like in my head I'm like, "What the fudge?" But yeah, no, it was just like, but personally what I would actually say was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then she's like cutting in line and I don't know. I'm just super bad at that, but it's important to be able to because you never know when that situation is going to turn really bad because all these situations, a lot of them start out that way and you don't necessarily know.
Well, wait a minute. She bumped into you and then she cut in line?
Yeah.
And you said, "Excuse me?"
No, I said I'm sorry.
Oh my word.
It's just even worse. I know.
Oh my
word.
I'm
terrible. I'm so bad.
Are you listening? Is my husband listening to this? Because he would be so embarrassed. Because I'm like, do y'all see this? Did she not see me standing here? Was I standing here first? Why is she standing in front of me? Am I invisible or something? Oh no, I'm all kinds of.
See, that's the stuff going on in my head. And then I make very snarky comments to Shane later. And I'm like, why couldn't I say that at the time?
Oh,
and he just like rolls his eyes at me because, yeah.
No, because I'm all kinds of a. Yeah, no.
I'm terrible. But it does, like, I've seen a lot of instances where stuff like that, like people bumping into you, I mean, for one, when people get really close to you in a big city type of situation, there's more likely people trying to take advantage of you in certain situations. Like pickpocketing is a really big thing when we go to California to visit Shane's family. And even on Hollywood, like I didn't have anything on me because I knew that, but I'm still the kind of person people are bumping into me on purpose to steal my crap. And I'm still the one saying, I'm sorry. Like I almost never say anything. So, and Shane's got me to get better when in those situations, but it is important to, And
I don't say everything that comes into my head, but I mean, I turn into that person that I might as well just hit my chest and say, "You want some of this?" I mean, because I need to be.
I need to learn from you.
Yeah,
I need to.
Yeah.
I
embarrass my husband in case y'all don't know. Yeah, because I have no filter most of the time. If you meet me in person, you would learn that I have no filter. Anyway, Stacy, I see you're chomping at the bits. Come on, tell me.
Well, I'm not like if it's just a normal, someone cutting in line or something stupid. I'm not, really confrontational on that. If it's someone that's just continuously being rude, then I'll eventually say something. But if it's just something stupid, I'll just tend to just ignore them or whatever. My husband, on the other hand, is more like Arminthia because he's the one that is a lot more confrontational than I am when it comes to that stuff and very loud. So I'm like over here like, oh my God, really? Are we
Now,
really doing this now?
I never said I was loud.
Well, he is. And, you know, I mean,
But
he'll
I
make sure,
am.
he'll make sure that the person hears him.
Well, they're
And
going to
I'm
hear
like,
me too.
yeah. And I'm like, really? I'm like, just, do we really have to do this? I mean, if it's something, you know, that is a continuous thing, then yeah, I'm going to say something or, you know, I might make a comment, but yeah, usually it's in situations like that. It's usually my husband and everything else. So, but I'm not as much so. I mean, if it was someone that I was uncomfortable with, or I felt I was in danger, or you know, really weird, then yeah, I would definitely, you know, protect myself and tell them to back off or leave or something along that nature. But if it's just something, you know, stupid, you know, it's to me, it's just not worth it. Um, so for me, I mean, it would have to make me really, really uncomfortable for me to actually, you know. And then when it comes to that, then I'm, you know, then that's when I get to the point where I'll probably be worse than my husband because, you
Have
know,
you have you gotten that point yet ever?
um, there was well, and it wasn't that I felt like I was in danger when my sister. I lived in California. My sister is going through a bad divorce,
Mm-hmm.
and you know her husband was cheating on her. So, and she had already moved to Oklahoma with my niece. So she wanted me to go to the court proceeding. She was going to be on the phone with the judge, you know, during the proceeding. So I went. Of course, he had his girlfriend there, and I hadn't really. I was the sister that was being good. I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't talking to them. I just went to watch the proceedings. And as soon as we left, she kind of got up. Hang on one sec. Hey, hush. Um, you know, she got on the elevator, and as the elevator got ready to shut, she had called me a name, which I can't repeat. But she had called me a name, and the doors hadn't shut yet. And I put my hand in there, and I said, "What did you just say?" She's like, "Well," arguing with me, and I'm like, and she's like, "Well, isn't this the sister that called and said all those horrible things?" And he was like, "No, that was the other sister." And she continued to go on and stuff, and I ended up throwing her up against the wall in the courthouse, which like I said, I'm not, you know, really that confrontational. But when it comes to something like that, then they're probably going to get thrown up against something. Because
Oh my goodness.
I only take so much, and then I'm like, it's on.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't something I was in danger, but it was something that still, you know, upset me because I hadn't done anything wrong. It was my other sister that, you know, had called him up and calling her names and home wrecker and all that stuff. And it wasn't even me. So, yeah. So it just depends on the situation. But if it comes to something like that or with my kids, yeah, you can bet that it'll probably turn into a fight and they'll probably be on the ground or up against something.
Trying to think, I don't think I've actually been in a fight or actually had to push anybody because I promise you my words are going to hurt enough. And by the time you hear me, my bark is way worse than my bite. That by the time I get finished talking, you're going to think that I done whooped you to death anyway.
Yeah. Now, back when I was a teenager, I was even worse because I was in a lot of fights. I usually wasn't the one starting them most of the time, but I was usually one that finished them. And it didn't matter if they were male or female. I would fight either one. And I had when I was a teenager. And stuff. But yeah. You didn't mess with me when I was a teenager. I kind of calmed down a lot since then. It takes a lot. But if you get me to that point, yeah, you better watch out.
Nice. Let's say I can talk and be as sweet as honey. And I think when I first went to work at the state, some of the officers didn't realize it, that I can hold my own. They thought they were just going to, like, somebody would say something and they'd want to kind of, like, defend me or something. I'd look at them and just tell them real quick how the cow ate the cabbage and that I got this. And I would tell whoever it was what I thought. Those officers don't do anything for me hardly anymore. They walk with me, and that's about it.
That's funny.
And they'll tell him, like, if there's a new officer that's training or one that hadn't walked with me before, they're like, she got you. They tell her, they're like, she know you'll be all right. She got you. So trust me. Yeah. Anyway, moving back on, we're gonna move on to our next one. When picking a parking space, remember to park safely. It's really important to look for a well-lit area, somewhere among other cars, and close to a main entrance when possible. And make sure that when you leave the store or wherever you're at, going back to your vehicle, make sure that you have your keys already in your hand. Because the last thing you want to do is to be digging into that bottomless purse to try to find your keys.
Yep. So. It's like the worst. Especially if you're terrified that there's someone hiding around the corner or something, even for no good reason. Like trying to find your keys. This one can be hard though, especially come like holiday time if you're shopping or anything. Mm-hmm. Like finding ample parking spaces is not easy. Mm-mm.
I'm a fan of online stuff.
Yes.
When possible.
Yes.
Online is awesome. If you have friends and you're able to go in groups, do so. I know that's not always a possibility. But shopping in groups is always good too. Don't go late at night. Don't go early in the morning. Avoid the dark. Those are when you're able to, just don't do those things.
That's another, pay attention to it. Because I know some of the parking lots around here at some of the stores we go to, they have these little medians in the middle of the parking lot. And they're they're not full medians, but they're between every so many parking spaces. And there's a median with a tree or median with bushes. Those are kind of scary, especially if you notice them. Like I had to go to the craft store for a project and I was going pretty late the other day and I didn't think about it until I was coming out and it's pretty dark and I had to park right next to one with a shrub next to it. That's a really good hiding spot if someone were trying to jump me. And that's like, maybe I shouldn't park there again. Because even though that one's particularly closer to the store, you need to be aware of the things like in the parking lot or around you that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Because even, I'm not saying you should always think that someone's out to get you, but you should always be aware of how they might, I guess. Is that the right way to put it?
Yes. Also be mindful. Especially if you're going to a new store, if you're going somewhere that you don't usually go also. You need to be mindful of places you're used to going for sure. But especially if it's somewhere you're not used to going, Definitely. You need to make sure that, there may be hidden spots or things like that, blind spaces and things that you're not aware of that you're going to want to keep an eye out for. That's why I say, if at all possible, don't do it when it's dark outside. Avoid stuff like that for sure. Go in groups if at all possible. For sure, have your keys in your hand without a doubt. Try to avoid overstocking your hands too. You don't want to be that person, that's got seriously 9 bags on each arm. That's only going to make one trip. Try to avoid being that person. You're laughing. That's a real thing.
I am that person. I will take everything in one trip if possible. I so will. Even to my house, which is I mean, you shouldn't do it there either, because if you're taking, if your hands are all full, then you may not be able to lock the car right away.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, I will try and get 30 to 50 bags on my arms at once just so I don't have to make another trip. But it's so bad. So very bad.
What about you, Stacy?
Yeah, usually if I have gone shopping, I usually take the card out there anyways if I have a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
At home, I carry a lot of things in, but I also live out in the country, so I have my dogs and stuff, and no one can really sneak up on me because my dogs will know, and stuff. But yeah, and most times I will try and park, somewhere close to the store anyway, especially at night. I mean, there's been a few rare times where, a snow was coming in. It was gonna be worse than they thought it was. That I actually, drove 15 miles and went to the store and got anything we needed. Because usually if it snows pretty bad out here. I live in a dirt road out in the country. There's been times we've been literally snowed in.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to the store a few times then, and gone at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually go to Veneta, which is smaller than Claremore, and can park right up front usually. But yeah, I try not to park in dark areas. And when I go Christmas shopping, it's usually me and my husband both going and doing Christmas shopping, so it's usually both of us.
There you go. You've got a bodyguard then.
Yeah, usually.
There you go. That works.
The way to do it.
There you go, for sure. Okay. This next one, I find a little weird, but it makes sense. Answer the door. Don't open the door, but answer the door, it says. Say you're at home and somebody knocks on your door and you're home alone. Don't open the door, but answer it. Even if you've got to tell them you're on the phone, you can't come to the door, whatever. Because nowadays, burglars are more likely to break in your house if no one actually answers the door. Assuming they're knocking on the door and nobody answers, they're assuming no one's home. So it's better to actually answer the door without actually opening the door.
I'd never thought of it that way, but I am I'm one of those people who, if it's someone that I don't know who they are, I will literally just pray to God they don't hear that I'm inside, and I just will not answer. Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm that person.
Well, I had a pretty good idea. I was talking to Stacy about this one before the show. You could totally do a Home Alone thing and have the gun sound like on your phone, and somebody opens, knocks on your door, and you hit play on your phone. I don't do imitations and sounds and stuff, but right. That would be, and then, you'd want a video camera watching them trip over themselves trying to get off your porch.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there have been a few times, because we're constantly getting, the Mormons are here all the time. And then there's the other churches in the area. For some reason, they send the old people to canvass the neighborhood, which I still don't understand that one. That's weird. That's not something I'm used to. And I grew up in church, so that's just weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm sorry, but when you send an 80-year-old woman to my porch, it really does not make me want to open the door anymore. In fact, it's more of a deterrent, just being honest, for me personally. But yeah, and then for a while, and I actually, this is something that came up when we were talking to the officer the other day at that event. For a while, we had a really big problem with people coming, and they'd come in their big vans and drive through the neighborhood, and they'd all come up to the doors and they'd ask if you wanted to try the newest Kirby vacuum, or, salesmen, or they said they were salesmen. And apparently, I guess they really were. But come to find out after talking to the officer, because I never knew the connection here, apparently once a year, a group of gypsies routinely come through this area. And I don't know if there's a better word for that. I super am sorry if there is, and I'm just super behind. But that's what she called them. So I'm going with that. So yeah, a band of gypsies comes through and that's what they do. But while they're doing that, they're actually casing homes. And we actually, when we first moved here, we didn't know or think about that, I guess. Because it's not something that frequently happens. Maybe it's just because the snow is too high in Wyoming, but it's not something we're used to before moving here. And one got in our house one time because he was showing us a vacuum, and you know me, I'm not one for confrontation, and for some reason I opened the door that day. It's another reason I don't open doors. But dude, luckily I was actually carrying that day, which I think was a big deterrent. And I was open carrying, and I was actually trying out a new holster that day, and it just happened to work out. And Shane was also home that day. So yeah. But yeah, come to find out, that's what they do. They come around and they try to find out who's home when, and if you are home, they case your home basically when they go inside or you open the door. So, and they'll come to your door and they won't leave until like someone answers, or they'll stay there for a long time, which is super awkward when I'm sitting on the couch 2 feet from the door trying to stay as still as possible. So no one, praying to God the child does not come out screaming at that moment. Like, please do not give away that we're home. But I have had to answer the door a few times, and I just grab my sidearm and have it open carried on my hip. That typically deters it, but yeah, all that to say, I am not good at this one. I'm really not. I'm really bad at all of these. I need to work on this. Good Lord.
What about you, Stacy?
Well, usually my dogs let me know when someone's here because, you can usually always end up hearing a car door or looking outside, but, my dogs bark. And so we'll always end up looking out. And if it's someone that's been here a while, they come to the door. Other people tend to be a little scared of my dogs. And even though they're not going to do anything for the most part, but they are scared of them. And, 2 of the dogs are kind of territorial there. They'd be the ones I'd be worried about. If I was being hurt, those are the 2 that I would probably trust the most to do something. But, yeah, I've even had, UPS call me and say, "Are you dogs okay? Can I get out and leave this package?" Yes, my dogs won't bite you. But, so most people, if they haven't been in my house, they're kind of weary about getting out of the car. And stuff. But yeah, most people, I live out in the country, so I don't get, people selling stuff. I don't get, Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't get a lot of those, people that don't usually, would come out if I lived in town. It's usually, someone a neighbor, family, people who have been in my house before countless times, friends and stuff. So I usually don't get much visitors. I live, on a lot of dirt roads, and most people don't like to go down the dirt roads.
Right. I'm like you. Most of mine are delivering mail, so I get that.
I just figured out what I need to do to help me with this one. We need to get Shane to build a really good fence in the front, and then just move the chicken coop to the front, and I'll have attack chickens.
Oh, there you go.
Be perfect. And then more gypsies or Mormons or old ladies.
Just get your mean rooster.
Oh, he ran away. Did I tell you that? I forgot to tell you that. He ran away.
I think
the one that didn't get eaten.
Another one.
We need to, but we don't want him to hurt the chickens, so we like eggs.
I'm still on this thing. I think a motion sensor now. Now I'm thinking a motion sensor that makes a gun noise or something when you cross it.
There you go. When we lived in Wyoming, there were a few times people would come up to the door and I'd be alone. And I mean, this was before kids, obviously. But we had a shotgun by the door, and I'd answer with a shotgun in my arms.
Oh, wow.
You're like, hey, what's up? Like, it was when it was late. Shane was working nights on base. So when anyone would come up and it was nighttime, I'd totally have my shotgun.
I can honestly say I have never opened the door and had a firearm in my hand, ever. That is never. Just never.
I can honestly say that I've seen Shane do that at least Oh God, at least 20 different times opening the door with a gun for various things.
Wow. Well, that kind of brings us into our next one. That kind of lands us right into our next one. And we're running over just a little bit, but I think these next two are really important. So we're going to kind of push on. Learn how to use your gun.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of touch on this all the time. It is so extremely important. If you're going to carry a firearm, I mean, if you want to have one that is just so beautiful, I mean, because we're chicks. I mean, you're all about your teal, and I mean, I really don't care what color mine is, and I say that, but oh my gosh, I have some that are just really gorgeous. But I mean, they can be pretty and all, but if you don't know how to use them, they doing you absolutely no good. I mean, there is absolutely. I mean, you might as well have a rock in your hand, seriously. So,
A very expensive
absolutely,
rock.
yes. It is so extremely important to learn how to use your gun and be able to draw and be it that you do drills like do y'all do drills, Liz?
Yes.
Y'all do.
I do at least 3 times a week. I try to do a dry fire drill at home before bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it from my conceal, whatever I'm currently concealing with. Right now, it's my purse.
Mm-hmm.
And I will draw from my purse at the dry fire drill, and I have a spot on my wall that I aim for.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that maybe 5 times in a row just to kind of, it's just a repetition thing, a practice thing. And then I also do that from my holster if I'm, been wearing my holster or have any reason to anytime soon. And then when we go to the range, kind of just your basic drills. I don't know if we do any specific drills. When I go to Girl in a Gun events, they have specific drills that they run us through, and they're more like fun. I mean, it's a drill, but at the same time, it's kind of like a competitive fun thing. So we do that, and then just kind of working on accuracy, marksmanship.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the dry fire ones, honestly, that one, I think if you can do it and look up how to do it safely and properly, it is so important to be able to know how to draw from whatever you're currently drawing from. It
Awesome.
is so important. And just to be able, you'll get comfortable with how it feels, pulling it out and aiming.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to see right away where you immediately pull to.
Right.
So it's super helpful.
Very good. Very good. What about you, Stacy?
We don't really have like a lot of drills per se. I mean, since I got my gun and stuff, I have, since it is a concealed carry, kind of practice with it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got my actual license to actually take it out anywhere yet, but once I get some holsters and stuff like that, then I'll work with that a little bit more. But other than that, I don't really have a lot of other, drills that we really have done that I can think of.
2 weeks from today, by the way. Or, well, 2 weeks from Friday. 2 weeks from yesterday.
Yeah.
We're 2 weeks away. Either way. I'm just saying.
Sorry, Georgia Trucker just posted in the chat. Liz will apologize. She doesn't like confrontation, but she will intimidate you with her guns.
And she's going to apologize.
True.
She's going to stand there and hold her gun. Can I help you? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I offend you with my firearm in my hand?
Oh my God, I have to cough now.
You can see it happening. I can just so see it. Oh, she had to mute because she was coughing.
Sorry, I'm trying not to die.
I can see it.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. I'm not going to lie. I probably would too. Oh my God.
You're like, you'd be holding it open. Oh my God, you have a gun. Oh my God. And you would just be, oh.
My husband tends to be a little
so
intimidated by me.
Your husband tends to be what?
Intimidated by me.
Oh. I'm not sure that's, yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Depends on the situation, I guess.
Okay.
Probably a bad thing whenever I'm mad at him.
Okay. So, our next topic is don't make yourself a target. So, gun snob, don't make yourself a target. Okay, just saying.
He's good at making himself a target.
Something that we suggest. I have not actually done this other than the training that I've gone through for work and stuff. Take a class. There are all kinds of self-defense classes that you can partake in. So if there's something like that in your area, absolutely, we recommend doing something like that. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, and one of the number one things we talked about it earlier is one of the things that when these people are looking for a target, they are looking for people who are not walking with confidence, who are kind of keeping, to themselves. They're not really paying attention. They're kind of, and especially if you're that way, like me, and you you're a little concerned. Like, I'm very aware of my surroundings. It probably doesn't look that way because I do constantly fight with that. I really try hard to be more aware and to look more confident and all that. But it's work for me. It really is at this point still. It's not natural. But I'm very aware of it, and I'm very aware of the surroundings, and I'm very aware that I live in a place that is more dangerous than the country. I know this stuff happens. I know it happens all the time, and I know I don't want to be the next person it happens to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's so much easier to have that confidence that helps make you not a target when you have, like, when you're carrying and you know how to use it and you can protect yourself. Just the confidence that comes from being able to say, I've got this. I can protect myself even if I do become the target.
Awesome.
And that itself will make you less of a target.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's, and like I said, it's a complete work in progress for me, 100%. But that alone has really, that's probably the best thing I have going for me right now is that I know, I'm aware of it and I'm aware of what's around me and I'm walking with that much more confidence, just because of that.
Very good.
Yeah, I may apologize if you bump into me and you're rude to me, but I can still protect myself and I might still apologize after that. Who knows?
Oh my goodness.
Like, excuse me, I'm sorry. Did I shoot you? No, I wouldn't say that because that would be bad legally. But
oh my gosh.
If I didn't know it would be bad legally, I'm not going to lie. Like, a previous me who would not have thought about the legal implications of anything said afterwards, I might have said, I'm sorry. I don't know. It could be that I'm just being honest, y'all. I know I'm weird, but it's just me. No, I'm sorry I shot you. Maybe you shouldn't have. Don't do that. Don't try to kill me.
I would shoot and then I would be like, okay, let's apply pressure to your wound until the police get here. That way you can go to prison as opposed to dying right here in front of me.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course. Definitely follow whatever legal advice and whatever things you think are proper for.
Absolutely. We are not lawyers.
Nope.
And nothing like that.
And just a tip, probably don't apologize to them. I'm just saying, I'm not going to lie. I probably would have had I not known how bad that would be. Oh, good Lord.
All right. Another part of don't make yourself a target, just for y'all to know, don't wear flashy jewelry or restrictive clothing. I don't think that's a problem for any of us. Not carrying more than you can manage. Make sure you're paying attention to what's going on around you. Never leave valuables in plain sight. At home, make sure you don't leave your garage open. Don't be flashing money out in front of people. Those are some really good ways. Those are some simple ways that could help you.
Pay attention to patterns also.
Exactly.
one of the things that happens a lot down here, I can't remember, there's a word for it and it's really stupid sounding and I should remember it. But when you go to an ATM or a bank, there's people who, especially in Houston, this happens a lot, but they have caught a few people out here in Beaumont doing it. There's people who specifically will sit and watch an ATM or be in a bank and go between banks and watch people for when they withdraw money, and they will follow you to wherever you're going next. So yeah, like pay attention. Has that car that's behind you been behind you for more than like 6 blocks and 3 turns? What are the chances that person is driving the exact same way you are? You know, and you need to know what to do in those situations. But yeah, same with the store. Like, be aware of if a certain person is going down the same rows that you are and staying, you know, I mean, we all have that intuition. We can all feel when something feels sketchy, but kind of be aware of that. Like, I know that personally, I'm the kind of person who naturally is very oblivious because I do try to keep into myself. So I wouldn't necessarily have previously paid attention if someone was following me down aisles or driving behind me for a long time, especially if they're good at what they're doing and staying behind. But that stuff happens. That's a real thing that happens nowadays. So you just need to be aware of it and kind of pay attention to the patterns around you.
Very good. All right. As we start to wind down, let's run it through the panel for any last thoughts on tonight's topics. We will start with Stacy.
Oh, excuse me. I was looking at the chat. I was, Georgia Trucker's still teasing Liz about the strap up thing. Once again,
I saw that. It's just so y'all know, okay? I don't host a lot, and like this is my first. I cannot read and talk at the same time, and I cannot read and type at the same time, or talk and type at the same time. So I've got to be able to do one or the other because I'm going to start typing what I'm reading, or
yeah.
Plus, I tend to hum when I type, so yeah, it doesn't work for me. I'm just telling you. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go for it.
I've often sat there and looked at the chat. I would have I know what I'm going to say, and then I look at the chat, and it's something funny, and I laugh, and I forget what I was going to say.
Yep.
So, yeah, it is kind of distracting at times, but, man, they're funny sometimes.
Well, I didn't want him to think that I've ignored them. I promise I haven't. The ones I've read, I mean, I've giggled and stuff, but I can't sit there and I can't host and actually do my stuff and type and do it all at the same time. It's too much for me. I can't do it.
Oh,
so.
Don't worry. That's why I'm never in the chat when I'm hosting, like ever. I'll read it and I'll try and pay attention to it, but I can't type in it and host. Like I can barely type in it and just talk on the panel. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, guys.
I can usually type and stuff, but I was also a dispatcher, so I was answering phones, and then you got the police log, and you got to type as you're going and doing tones, and you really have to learn to multitask. My husband, on the other hand, he cannot do 2 things at once at all. And especially if it's trying to talk and then trying to type, he can't do it. I mean, if he ever tried to be a dispatcher, I mean, he would not be able to keep up with the log and keep up with the phone calls and the radio and stuff, because you have to be able to multitask. But
I'm sitting over here. I'm sitting over here texting on my phone, and my husband says, "Are you humming?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah," because I'm typing R. and I'm humming every word I'm typing. So yes.
Was it the last show that right before I was typing out the final things on the our run through, and I started humming "This Is Halloween" randomly, and I didn't even realize.
Yes.
You're like, was that Nightmare Before? Yes, it was. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry, we got a little off topic.
You were doing that one day before we went live. You were doing that. You were humming. I think it was Nightmare, or it was something, but you were humming something. I remember that.
I do that all the time. I really have to try not to when we do stuff like this. I'm really bad.
Okay. So
Sorry.
That's okay. Any last thoughts or anything?
Not really. I can't think of anything at the moment, but I mean, be aware of your surroundings and, you know, I don't know. I can't think of anything. My mind's like not here.
Okie doke. Moving on. It's over there. Okay, so
it's way over there.
Okay, Liz.
Oh, just someone without a voice. I should have talked a lot tonight. Sorry.
I know.
Oh, good Lord. Do what?
You've done great. I mean, you've kind of been my sounding board. I like it. We've done good.
This works.
I know. Any thoughts?
Just be safe out there. Pay attention. The biggest thing, pay attention to your surroundings and don't be enveloped in your phone. I think those are my two very biggest takeaways are things that I work on the most. That and, everything else that I mentioned. But yeah, all that, and have a very happy Halloween, those of you who celebrate it. I know we're in the midst of Halloween festivities over here, so enjoy all of y'all's. We go a little overboard.
All right. Thank you to these awesome ladies that have been with me tonight and helped carry me through. Y'all are awesome. I couldn't have made it without y'all tonight.
You did fabulous. You did awesome.
Thank you. But y'all have helped me seriously. Real quick, a huge shout out to Gun Channels. If you haven't checked them out, be sure and go over to Gun Channels and check them out. It's an online 2A community where you can share content with other like-minded members. We stream live there as well as here every Sunday at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Gun Gals Live. Be sure to join us next week, same time, same place. And be sure and watch out during the week to see what we may drop. You never know what might be coming during the week. Also, before we leave, we want to make sure we go ahead and do another shout out to our Patreons. Huge shout out because you guys are awesome. Super awesome. Georgia Trucker and the Real Gun Snob for moving up a tier. Also, Ghost Tactical, Clover Tack, Angry Hay Cutter, TD3 Media, and Tina is Liberty Cat, who joined us also this week. Huge shout out to y'all. Any of you have any questions, comments, or input? Any ideas for live shows that you want to hear us? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us an email at info@gun-gals.com. That's all for now. Thank you for joining us, and y'all have a nice week. Thanks.